It's almost midnight. You're exhausted. You've been waiting for this moment all day, and now you're finally in bed, eyes closed, ready to disappear. And your brain says no. It starts replaying a conversation from 3 years ago. It reminds you of an email you forgot to send. It asks you, quite seriously, whether octopuses dream. You want to sleep more than anything in the world, and the one organ responsible for making that happen refuses to cooperate. It feels like a malfunction. It feels like your brain is broken. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain isn't failing to protect you. It's protecting you exactly the way it was built to. The problem is that it was built for a world that no longer exists. Think about what sleep actually is for a moment. You lie down, you close your eyes, you become blind, deaf, paralyzed, and unconscious for 8 hours straight. You cannot see a threat coming. You cannot hear it. You cannot run from it. For almost any animal on Earth, sleep is the single most dangerous thing it does every single day. And for your ancestors, it was no different. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans slept on the ground in open savannas and shallow caves surrounded by leopards, hyenas, snakes, and other humans who did not always have friendly intentions. Falling asleep too easily, too deeply at the wrong moment could end your entire genetic line in a single night. So evolution made a trade. It gave you a brain that treats the act of falling asleep as a security decision. Before your brain lets you go under, it runs a check. Is the environment safe? Is anything unresolved? Is there a threat I should be tracking? And here's the twist. Your modern brain runs the exact same check. It just has different data to work with. When you lie down at night, your brain doesn't see a memory foam mattress and a locked door. It sees unresolved threats. That awkward thing you said in the meeting, the bill you haven't paid, the vague sense that you're falling behind in life. To the ancient machinery in your head, an unanswered email and an unaccounted for predator are processed by the same alarm system. Neuroscientists call this system hyperarousal, a state where your stress response stays switched on when it should be powering down. Your heart rate stays slightly elevated. Your body temperature stays slightly higher. Stress hormones like cortisol keep circulating. Your brain is standing guard over threats that cannot eat you, but it doesn't know that. It was never told the rules changed. There's a strange and beautiful piece of evidence for how deep this guarding instinct goes. Have you ever noticed that you sleep terribly the first night in a hotel? Almost everyone does. Scientists call it the first night effect, and for decades it was written off as simple discomfort. Then researchers at Brown University, led by Masako Tamaki and Yuka Sasaki, put people in brain scanners while they slept in an unfamiliar place. What they found was astonishing. On the first night, one hemisphere of the brain, the left one, stayed measurably more awake than the other. It remained more sensitive to unusual sounds, ready to trigger a wake-up. Half of your brain literally stands watch in a new environment. Dolphins do this. Some birds do this. And apparently, so do you every time you check into a Holiday Inn. Your brain doesn't fully trust a room it has never slept in before. That is not a glitch. That is a night guard who never got the memo that the war's over. But there's an even bigger surprise hiding in your sleepless nights. You assume that a normal human sleeps in one solid, unbroken block of 8 hours, and that anything else is failure. Where did that assumption come from? Not from biology, from history, and surprisingly recent history at that. A historian at Virginia Tech named Roger E. Kirch spent years digging through medieval court records, diaries, prayer books, and medical texts, and he kept finding two phrases over and over in more than a dozen languages. First sleep? Second sleep? For most of human history, people didn't sleep through the night at all. They went to bed a few hours after sunset, slept for roughly 4 hours, and then woke up. On purpose. For an hour or two in the middle of the night, whole villages were quietly awake. People prayed. They talked with their spouse. They tended the fire, visited neighbors, thought about their dreams. Then they returned to bed for a second sleep until dawn. Waking up in the middle of the night wasn't insomnia. It was Tuesday. Then came a suspect you know very well, artificial light. The light bulb didn't just brighten the night, it compressed it. Evenings stretched later, work stretched longer, and the two sleeps got squeezed into one. Within a few generations, the ancient pattern vanished so completely that we forgot it ever existed. And here's the cruel part. When you wake up at 3 a.m. today, staring at the ceiling, you don't think, my second sleep will come. You think, something is wrong with me. And that thought, that panic about being awake, floods your body with exactly the stress chemistry that keeps you awake. You're not failing to sleep. You may be sleeping in an ancient rhythm and punishing yourself for it. A psychiatrist named Thomas Ware tested this in the 1990s at the National Institute of Mental Health, and his experiment is one of the most quietly mind-bending in sleep science. He took a group of ordinary people and removed artificial light from their nights. For 4 weeks, they lived with 14 hours of darkness, roughly what a midwinter night would have looked like for your ancestors. At first, they just slept a lot, paying off years of sleep debt. But then something remarkable happened. Their sleep split in two. They slept for about 4 hours, woke naturally, lay quietly awake for 1 to 3 hours, and then slept again until morning. Nobody told them to do this. Nobody trained them. Take away the light bulb, and within weeks the old pattern climbed straight out of the human genome and reasserted itself. Segmented sleep isn't a medieval habit. It appears to be a factory setting. And Vare noticed something else. During that quiet middle-of-the-night waking, his subjects weren't anxious. Their blood showed elevated levels of prolactin, a calming hormone associated with the peaceful state after stress subsides. They described the hours as tranquil, almost meditative. Compare that to your 3 a.m. experience, heart pounding, doom scrolling, calculating how many hours of sleep you have left if you fall asleep right now. Same waking. Completely different meaning. The difference isn't in your biology. It's in the story you tell yourself about what that waking means. So why does your brain refuse to switch off the moment your head hits the pillow? Look at what you do in the final hour of your day. For your ancestors, the evening was a long ramp downward. The sun set slowly. Light shifted from white to orange to firelight. Conversation slowed. The tribe settled. Darkness itself was a chemical signal, triggering the release of melatonin, the hormone that tells your body night has arrived. Now look at your evening. You work until late, then leap directly from a glowing screen into bed and expect unconsciousness on demand. The sleep scientist Matthew Walker at the University of California, Berkeley, has spent his career showing what this does to you. Bright, blue, wavelength light in the evening can significantly delay and suppress your melatonin release, effectively telling your brain that it's still midday. And the content on that screen matters too. Every notification, every headline, every unfinished argument in a comment section is one more item for your ancient threat checker to file under unresolved. You're handing your night guard a stack of fresh reports at the exact moment you want him to go off duty. Then you're surprised that he stays at his post. There's one more layer, and it might be the most important one. Sleep cannot be forced. That sounds obvious, but sit with it. You can force yourself to run. You can force yourself to work. You can force down food you don't want. Sleep is one of the only things your body does that direct effort actively destroys. The harder you chase it, the faster it runs. Researchers have shown this in the lab. Offer people a cash reward for falling asleep quickly, and they take longer to fall asleep than people offered nothing. Why? Because trying is arousal. Effort means the stakes are high, and high stakes mean your threat system stays on. To your ancient brain, a person desperately trying to sleep looks exactly like a person who believes something is wrong. And a brain that believes something is wrong will not stand down. Sleep only comes when your brain concludes there is nothing left to guard against. It is not an achievement. It is a surrender. And you cannot surrender aggressively. This is why the standard advice actually works, even though it sounds boring. Dim the lights early, because darkness is the original sleeping pill. Keep the same schedule, because a predictable world is a safe world to an ancient brain. Write down tomorrow's worries before bed, because a threat that's been recorded is a threat your night guard can stop tracking. And if you wake at 3 a.m., Don't declare an emergency. Don't check the time. Don't calculate. Rest quietly in the dark, like a medieval farmer between first and second sleep, and let the wave come back for you. Because it will. It has been coming back for humans for 300,000 years. Here's the reframe worth carrying out of this. You've been thinking about your sleepless brain as an enemy, a defective machine that torments you at night. But everything it does, the racing thoughts, the hotel vigilance, the 3 a.m. waking, the refusal to be forced, is the behavior of a system that kept every single one of your ancestors alive long enough to produce you. Not one of them was eaten in their sleep. Not one. An unbroken chain of successful nights, stretching back before language, before fire, before anything you would recognize as human. You are the proof that the system works. It's just running in a world it was never designed for, mistaking inboxes for predators and streetlights for noon. So tonight it will be almost midnight again. You'll be exhausted again. You'll lie down, close your eyes, and somewhere in the dark, your brain will begin its ancient rounds, checking the perimeter of a world that no longer has one. And when it does, you don't have to fight it. You can recognize it for what it is. Your brain isn't refusing to let you sleep. It's standing guard over you, the way it stood guard over everyone you descend from, one dangerous night at a time. It's not broken, it's loyal. And once it finally believes you're safe, it will do what it has always done. It will let you disappear.